Officially start our webinar. Welcome to everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're presenting this webinar with the CDS Victoria for our member groups. My name is Anna Pimenta and I am the Landcare Development Coordinator with Landcare Victoria. I want to acknowledge the important work that all of you do as volunteers for the environment, for your passion and dedication. And hopefully after today's webinar, you can adopt some ideas on how to get the most out of this scheme and also how to participate in the dollar matching competition that Pretty will describe later. I would also like to pay our respects for the traditional owners and the custodians of the lands on which we are meeting today. Landcare Victoria recognises the ongoing role of traditional owners in caring for land, water and wildlife, and acknowledge the deep connections that Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders peoples have to country. I'd personally like to acknowledge the Gunai Kunai peoples as traditional owners and custodians of the country I am working on today here in Gippsland. And I pay my respects to the elders past and present. And just a bit of housekeeping. So before we get stuck into it, first, please don't feel like you need to write anything down that is being said because a recording of this session will be available and the slides will be available as well. Please note that we have muted your microphones as well, and we do ask that you keep them muted unless you want to put in a question. If for some reason some of the questions go unanswered and you'd like to follow up, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us after the webinar. And as I mentioned, my name is Anna Pimenta and I'm here representing Landcare Victoria. And we have partnered with the Victorian Container Deposit Scheme, and we have Pretty Bandari, sorry, Pretty, if that's not how you pronounce your name, to represent the Victorian Container Deposit Scheme. And this is it. So I'll hand over to Pretty, and we're going to listen to a beautiful case study as well.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks for the introduction. As Anna mentioned, my name is Preeti and I'm from Victoria's Container Deposit Scheme. Really delighted to be here to have the chance to talk about the impact the scheme has had so far, as well as our newest partnership with Landcare Victoria. I'm going to be talking for about 20 minutes or so, just taking some time to share what I just spoke about, the impact the scheme has had so far, why we have wanted to partner with Landcare Victoria. Very excitingly, talking about the dollar match competition. Really conscious about the time that we have today. So I'm going to make sure that the information that is shared on the dollar match competition is the need to know information. There is more information available on both our websites. As you'll see, the dollar match competition is all about encouraging more Landcare groups to fundraise with the scheme. So we've invited our partners, Friends of Mount Worth State Park. We have Marin here on the call today to just talk about what their experience fundraising with the scheme has looked like and some tips and tricks to boost your current fundraising efforts. We really want to make sure that the groups who are participating in the scheme have collection support available. I'm going to be talking about how you can access the collection support and the available resources. Like Anna mentioned before, we are a really small group here with us today. If you do have questions, please feel free to pop them on the chat. If not, that's fine. I'm happy to take questions towards the end. Before I do go on to the next slide, just by a show of hands, would love to know if everyone here has heard of Victoria's Container Deposit Scheme. And I really want the answer to be yes. Great. Has everyone on the call, is everyone as a group who's participating signed up with the scheme as a donation partner? If I could just see by a show of hands. Yep, okay. Okay, that's really good to know. As most of us here know, Victoria's Container Deposit Scheme is a recycling program which is aimed at reducing litter and improving recycling outcomes. How it does that is by providing a 10-cent refund for every bottle, can, and carton returned. What you may not have known is that we do actually have a target, and the target is diverting at least 80% of material that can be recycled away from landfill by 2030. Should be no surprise to anyone in the room, but as Victorians, we drink quite a lot. Can anyone guess how many drinks are consumed in Victoria annually? Just guess. Feel free to either go off mute or pop your answers on the chat. 10 million, 20 million, any guesses? 25 million? Okay. 100 million? Okay. I'm going to reveal what the answer is, and it's going to blow your mind. Over 3 billion drink containers are consumed by Victorians annually. That's huge. And I guess it's people in this room here today know that what is not recycled ends up polluting our lands, oceans, and harms the environment that we love. Victoria's Container Deposit Scheme is a relatively new program. We've only been around for less than 2 years. Can anyone take a guess as to how many drink containers have been returned through the program so far? Chat or on, if you could go off mute, that's fine as well. 30% of, I'm guessing that's 30% of 3 billion. Okay. So far, and I just checked this number this morning, nearly 1.90, that's 1.9 billion drink containers have been returned to the program, and that's been in less than 2 years. It's an outcome that we're really, really proud of, because that's not an outcome that our competitive states, not that it's a competition, have reached in their time with the scheme. But that's a huge number that, like I said, we're really proud of it, because that's saying that $190 million have been returned to Victorians as refunds. That's a huge amount. What we're really seeing as a scheme is that, yes, you're able to pocket your 10-cent refund, but a lot of community organizations, environment organizations like yourselves, have been using the scheme to raise important funds, particularly from a Landcare Victoria perspective and Landcare groups and networks. We've seen over 24 Landcare groups and networks that have raised over 150,000 drink containers through the program, which is a huge amount given that a lot of the Landcare groups and networks are volunteer driven. Not all groups are of the same size. That's an outcome that we are also really proud of, having raised over $15,000 with the scheme. Which brings me to why we have partnered with Landcare Victoria. As I mentioned before, our goal as a scheme is to really reduce litter. What we're seeing with Landcare groups and networks are that they're actively embedding CDS Vic in their litter reduction initiatives. It's a win for the scheme. The second bit, which Merin will speak to in a couple of seconds, is that it's become a source of important funds. Funds raised through the scheme have helped groups pay for costs that are typically not covered by grants. And the last bit is, and these stories are coming really strongly from what we're hearing through media and from our partners ourselves, is that as environment champions, participating groups have championed the scheme and encouraged individuals to donate to their group. People might not have an access to refund point close to them, but they are really willing to look for Landcare groups in their vicinity and neighborhoods and ask, hey, if we don't have a refund point, we do want to participate with the scheme, can you come and collect these containers from us? Because that's our way of giving back to the community. And those kinds of stories have been coming through really strongly. And we figured, hey, if there are so many groups that are participating through the scheme, we really want to be sustaining that momentum, particularly as we head to the winter months, which is why we have introduced the dollar match competition. What is the dollar match competition? Well, CDS Vic will dollar match the first 5 Landcare groups to raise a minimum of $1,000 through the scheme. That's saying that, yes, $1,000 is the minimum amount that we need, or an equivalent of that would be 10,000 drink containers, eligible drink containers, need to be returned through the program. Who is eligible to participate in the dollar match competition? Number one, you need to be operating in Victoria, which I'm sure all of us here are. You need to be financial members of Landcare Victoria. And number 3, and this is going to be really, really important, you must be signed up as a donation partner with CDS Vic and have registered the donation partner ID that you will receive after having signed up with us with at least one of our zone operators. So in the North Zone, we have Vizzy. In the West Zone, we have Tom Racklinaway, and in the East Zone, we have Return It. When is the dollar match competition going to be running? What is the competition period? The competition began on Monday, that is 2nd of June, and will close on the 31st of October. Worth noting, if the groups are able to raise that amount and submit an application to us before the competition ends, we will be determining the winners of the competition on a case-by-case basis. So essentially what I'm trying to say is it's best first come, best served. How do you take part in the competition? We've been really conscious of not making it too onerous for land care groups, as we are conscious of the fact that these are volunteer-run groups. So it's mostly about rewarding the existing activities that the groups are already continuing to do. So a participating group might participate in the competition by, number one, presenting a minimum of 10,000 drink containers at a CDS Vic refund point over the competition period. That is raising an equivalent of $1,000. Very, very important to note is we must ensure that each container that is returned during the competition period is recorded against your donation partner ID. This is going to be crucial to how prizes are given out, because this is how we'll be able to monitor that the competition terms and conditions have been met. So it's really important that when you are participating in the scheme and returning drink containers, you are recording each transaction against your donation partner ID. So how does your group have your dollar matched? Just recapping what I've mentioned in my previous slide, number one, you're a member of Landcare. You have already signed up with the scheme as a donation partner and activated that donation partner ID with at least one of the zone operators. That's great, that's a tick. Number two, you have raised $1,000 or returned 10,000 drink containers at a CDS Vic refund point between the competition period. That's between 2nd of June and 30th of October. That's another tick. That's great. And number three is you have proof of transactions, that is receipts that you receive at the refund points or screenshots. This I think is going to be a lot more easier for groups, recorded on your CDS Vic app. Once you have those three things checked off, the process is really, really easy, and we have deliberately wanted to keep it easy. All you need to do is submit an online application form through the link below. These slides, as Anna mentioned, will be circulated, so you will have the decks, the presentation deck and the link that can be accessed, but the application form will essentially be seeking all the information that I have summarized on the left-hand side. It will be asking you for your organization's name, your donation partner ID, and you'll have the opportunity to upload your transaction, that is the proof of returns. I'm really conscious that this is a lot of information to take in, and I wanted to make sure that you have the bare minimum that you need in order to participate in the competition. But there is a lot more information available on the Landcare Victoria website and the terms and conditions that you need to be across. As you would have realized, the dollar match competition seeks to reward groups that are participating in the scheme and fundraising with the scheme, but also very mindful that not all organizations will have the same fundraising journey. Fundraising takes effort, fundraising takes momentum, and fundraising takes consistency. To help you provide some ideas as to what your journey could look like from a fundraising perspective, we've invited Merin from Friends of Mount Worth State Park to talk about how their approach fundraising with the scheme has looked like. And I'm going to be handing it off to Merin.
Thank you, Prati. I'm with the Friends of Mount Worth, where we are a member of Landcare Victoria, but we share a lot of members with the local Landcare group. So I'm with the Landcare group as well as with the Friends of Mount Worth. They tend to concentrate a lot on planting in gullies and around creek beds, all that sort of thing, whereas our focus is principally on the state park. Where we maintain walking tracks, we have monthly working bees, we provide information to visitors about the park. It's all those kind of general things. But like most Landcare groups, we're always short of money. We've spent a lot of time applying for grants, which have mostly been successful. But we started as a donation partner with the container deposit scheme basically from the beginning. And we have found it to be a really simple, easy and productive raising funds. So so far, our journey so far with that has been that, and can I change that? The slide? There. Thank you. Since we joined up in January last year, we've raised over $1,600. You wouldn't think that taking back a 10-cent can is going to give you that much reward, but it's amazing how quickly and easily that builds up. It's just, we couldn't believe it. We've done other fundraising activities, like, selling firewood and doing, but this has been by far the easiest and the best way to raise money. So we've raised over 1,600. We started collecting just from roadsides, like you see there. But since then, we've involved grandchildren, family members, neighbours, all sorts of people have become involved. It's just gained momentum, and like a ripple in a pond, it's just spread out beyond our group. So some of the things that we've done to try and promote it and to get the best out of it, I guess, is once you sign up with your zone operator, they give you an ID and it's a barcode. So the zone ID barcode, and people taking containers back to the depot can just show that barcode and automatically the money gets paid into our friend's bank account. So it gets paid into your group's bank account. So it's really simple. It means there's no cash, there's no kind of messing about. It just goes straight into the bank account. And we have found that people are really happy to do that. So we started by having the barcode on our phones, because that's modern, but most of our members didn't like it. And it wasn't all that easy when we were talking to other people in the community to sort of send them the barcode. So we just got some simple business cards printed, really cheap online business cards with the barcode on the back. And that has been a real winner for us. So I always carry a bunch with me. I've got one here. I always carry a bunch with me. So do most of our members. If anybody asks, you can just hand it to them and it's dead simple. So that's how we started. It started to get bigger and bigger. We now collect from events, like if you've got a working bee or if you've got a field day, birthdays. Our neighbours here had a birthday party a couple of weekends ago. I got over 300 cans from that birthday, 300 containers from a birthday party, and that was just one. So I left some bags up there. People just put their containers in it. The next morning I went up and picked them up, and there you go. I mean, it was as simple as that. So it's pretty effortless in that regard. We've promoted what we do, not very much. I can't say that we've, gone to a huge amount of effort, but it just seems to have happened on social media, on, Facebook, just with the local newspaper. But it's mostly been word of mouth, I'd have to say, and just letting people know that we're collecting and what we're spending the money on. So what the benefits to the park are. And people are just very, very happy to give you their cans and bottles, They, rather than putting them in the yellow top bin, because that's the choice. You can take them, or you can take them to the depot yourself, but most people are very happy. Excellent question, Peter. Peter's saying, are the return bags available to everyone? We got those ones, yes. We got 3 of those and we use them constantly. They're terrific. There's always a little bit of liquid left in the bottom of containers. It doesn't leak into your car because they're quite kind of waterproof. They've got a zip on them, so stuff doesn't fall out. Yeah, they're super. They're really, really good. But some people prefer to just put them into plastic tubs, whatever. But we found the bags have been great. Yeah, really good. We report regularly to our members, so we have monthly working bees. So every month we have a bit of over lunch, we have a bit of a talk and a laugh and share how many containers we've returned and therefore how much money we've made. And it's just a fun activity. There's a bit of internal competition probably, but not much. It's just something that we enjoy doing. So what are the benefits? We've had a lot of benefits to the group. Mainly, as Priyati was saying before, we've been able to raise funds that you can't get from grants necessarily. So we got a grant a couple of years ago to produce a couple of brochures, one on birds and one on ferns, for the park, but then you've got to reprint them. So we didn't have the grant money to reprint them, but we've used a lot of the money that we've raised from the CDS scheme to reprint those brochures. We've also bought, because we're always repairing steps or handrails, so we've bought a bit of timber, we've bought screws, we've bought all those sorts of things that you kind of need for day-to-day things that you're just not going to get a grant for. Or if you do, it takes months to get that grant. Whereas this is cash that's coming in on a regular basis. Every month it comes in. So, and it might only be a few $100s, but gosh, it makes such a difference and it mounts up. Yeah. So we found it really useful for that. It's also been great in promoting awareness of our friends group. You hand out those cards and it just lets people know what you're doing. It's been a big reward for us, so we feel really positive that we're helping clean up the environment. Every time any one of us goes for a walk, we take a bag with us, just a little bag, not one of the big ones, but we're picking up containers all the time. You wouldn't believe it, always picking up containers. And obviously we're always collecting them from other people who don't necessarily want to take them to the depot. It's a shared activity that all the members of the group can do, but we get a lot of fun out of it. So the reasons to get started, because I really do suggest you get started, it is easy. Signing up, yeah, you've got to do a little bit of paperwork to sign up, but it's not hard, and it's a great thing to do. So it's easy. It's fun. We've had a lot of fun out of it. So this person here behind the the containers there is our secretary treasurer, Tony. He collects a couple of bags a week from his next door neighbour who for whom English is not their first language. It is probably their third or fourth language. This guy, he's a pensioner. He doesn't drive a car. He can't get to a depot. Yes, he is, Peter. So Tony goes and collects these containers, and honestly, it's a win-win for both of them. This guy loves the fact that he's donating his containers. It's no effort, and it gives him a connection with Tony and vice versa. So it's been a really positive thing. So it helps people who can't necessarily access a depot. So I would honestly urge you just to have a go. That's what we did. We just had a go. We had no idea it would gain such momentum and bring us such a steady income, but it has. And it just, get going. So any questions on that?
Thank you, Maren. I think the bit that you said earlier, 10 cents doesn't seem like a lot of money, but like you said, it adds up. And I guess the good thing about this competition is it's not really 10 cents if you really are participating in it. What you're getting is 20 cents because you're having your dollar matched. So I would really urge everyone to think about that, particularly if you feel like 10 cents is not a huge amount to begin with. What I really like about Marin's story is that it consolidates all the three ways in which we have seen most groups participate in the scheme, particularly fundraise with the scheme. You can choose to be a container collector as Tony from the group was doing. You could choose to partner with local businesses and cafes, particularly because these are venues that see a high volume of containers. Or you could just simply choose to engage your supporters, like Marian was talking about business cards. If you're not in the position to collect drink containers or partner with local businesses or make those trips to refund points, engaging your supporters to receive donations at refund points is always a good way to go about it. Where to from here? One of the things, and this has come consistently across all stories of success, particularly if you're fundraising with the scheme, is that groups who have found a lot of success fundraising with the scheme have had a champion. They have had a Marin, they've had a Tony, they've had what we internally say a canvassador who has taken the lead in their organization to get their journey started with CDS Vic. They have been the ones who have sustained that momentum, encouraged their community, and just kept that consistency going throughout in their fundraising journey. So would really urge for anyone who's looking to get started to have a lead of sorts in your group who sustains that momentum. As I mentioned before, there are various ways in which you could go about your fundraising journey. That could be engaging your supporters to donate their refunds to you, or going on container collection drives yourself. There's some really useful advice in our fundraising guide that talks about how you could collect containers, how you could store containers, and stories from other environmental organizations as to what their fundraising has looked like as well. You will have the link available to that after the webinar. And to answer Peter's earlier question, if you do need collection support, particularly bags, and if your depot is not making it available, one of the great things about this partnership is that we want to be supporting all land care groups to fundraise with the scheme and partake in the competition. So if you do need collection support, we can provide you with collection bags. Just send me an email. I will be making my email available. What I mean by eligible groups is we do encourage organizations to sign up with us as a donation partner. That's the only condition to receiving the bags, essentially. And like I mentioned before, the key to succeeding with any initiative is consistency. So collect, return, and keep repeating that until you've reached your minimum target goal. In this instance, it's $1,000 or 10,000 drink containers. Really conscious that a lot of the organizations are time poor and we don't really have time to make our own social tiles or newsletters. The good news, all of these available, ready to be customized for you. We will make the link to this available as well, but there's all sorts of resources that you're able to download and use for your own fundraising activities. And I will be opening it up to questions, if you have any. Haven't had a chance to look at the chat just yet, so I'm just going to open it.
Yeah, thanks, Preeti and Marin. That was inspirational, really. And we also were discussing with our team before, even if you just collect $32 a month, it's probably, if you're in the lower tier of our membership, you'll be able to pay for your insurance and use the funds from the Victorian Land Care grants, for something else. Or and it's not a tied up money, so you can really use it in anything you really need, which is great. And I also had an idea while I was talking to Preeti that you could utilize the bin collection days to ask your neighbors to leave a bag of containers out on the road, and one of our volunteers could go and pick them up. That could be an idea. But please feel free to unmute. As we said, this is a very intimate webinar today, so it's a great opportunity for any of you to just unmute and have a chat about any questions that you might have, even about how to become a donation partner. Peter.
I was just wondering, in relation to like first in, best dressed, has there been consideration for a first in by region? So like northeast or southeast or west? It's just across the board. Yep.
Across the board, yes.
Yep. Okay.
And we also did a webinar last year, was it Preeti? On how to register. So if you do have any questions, you can also use the time we have today to ask those questions. But we do have a webinar on how to register as a partner. And just as an example, Landcare Victoria is registered, and I know we are registered in the 3 regions, but to be honest, we do not promote it or anything, and every month like a bid comes through without us having to do anything, zero. So just by having we don't know who donates, but people have donated somehow, so definitely worth, even by doing nothing you'll get something.
I feel like you've been really lucky in that instance, because that's not the story that I would be hearing from other donation partners, particularly if you're small groups.
Yes.
That has been the experience for statewide organizations, because you are visible across all zones. There is certainly a lot of value if you are a smaller group in general, and to just have that word of mouth promotion happening in your community.
Yeah, we don't want to compete with our member groups. That's why we keep it quiet. But just to say that we were very surprised, actually, that with not much effort. But definitely, as Marion said, it's just not a lot of effort for a lot, quite a lot of gain. Yeah.
Yes, Peter.
Is on the Landcare website, is there a list of participating Landcare groups in relation to the can collection?
No.
We've not made that information public. I can say this is because the records are private to us, and we can only see what's available on our dashboard. Over 24 Landcare groups and networks are participating in the scheme, and by that I mean they are signed up with us as a donation partner, and they're actively fundraising with the scheme. Worth noting that there might be groups who have not really completed that process and are fundraising as a customer, but just in order of how the mechanics of the competition work and what we'd be able to provide support to, we are really encouraging the signing up as a donation partner, because it gives us the ability to support organizations, reach out to organizations and be like, hey, if you want some more bags, we'd be able to provide that. But in order for us to do that, we need the donation partner ID.
The odds sound quite good.
I was very tempted to say that when you asked about is the winner going to be picked according to the zone, and I said, well, you are competing with 24 groups and it's 5 groups. The prize pool is 5,000, so time to sign up as a donation partner.
That's right. Very good.
Yeah, and tell your friends. Lise wants to
hi.
Hi.
I'm with Friends of the Barwon, and I don't know if people are aware of this, and I don't know how many of these collection places are actually there, but not far from where I'm staying at the moment in Breakwater, there's a place that you can take all your bottles and cans to, the 10-cent ones, and you just spread them out, and they actually do all the you don't have to stand there and feed them through. And I don't know if people realize that some of those exist, because it's so much easier. I haven't actually got everything going yet for our organization. I've got to do that last bit, but that's what I'm hoping to do, given that I'm staying quite close to it. But are there other ones like that around the state, or is that Geelong one just a one-off?
That's a really good question, Liz. When we first started, which was in November 2020, 2003, we had 300 refund points. Now that the scheme has been up and running and it's fully functional, we have over 650 refund points. The composition of what these refund points look like is a mix of 3 types of refund points. So the first type of refund point is what you mentioned before. It's a reverse vending machine where we have to stand in front of the machine, manually feed 1 drink container at a time. Not ideal if you're fundraising, because you don't want to be standing there all day feeding 100 containers. What is ideal for fundraising is what you mentioned before. That is a depot. A depot is where counting and sorting happens within a matter of seconds. Really useful if you are fundraising with the scheme. There is a third type of refund point, which is primarily very common in the north, which is an over-the-counter. An over-the-counter are small businesses in the communities. Think about your bottle shops or milk bars who do accept drink containers. But again, would not recommend that if you have a large amount of drink containers to return, because even at over-the-counters, the counting happens manually. So depots are a part of the scheme, and I believe the last I checked, and I would need to check this number, there are over 60 depots all over Victoria. So it's not just in Geelong, there is a fair spread depending on the region that you are in.
Okay, because that's probably worth getting that list out if people aren't aware of it.
Yep, I might make a note of that and share the refund point map that is available on the CDS Vic website. You would actually be able to filter based on the type of refund point that you want to be visiting. So if you just add your postcode in and say, I only want to be looking at depots, it would show the closest depots to you, which is a really handy tool to know.
Thank you.
I believe that's about it for questions, but I'm sure there would be more questions to come through because there is a long list of T's and C's and the dollar match competition information. We will be making the information, as Anna said, available after the webinar. In the meantime, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If you do need collection support, you'd like to know this, that it's only available for land care groups as part of the partnership. So would encourage everyone to make use of that.
Yeah, please feel free to call at any time if you want to. We made it really simple. So the application form is very simple. We didn't put any hardware in there, as all the terms and conditions are in a separate file in the website. I did share the website, but I will share everything with you again in a follow-up email. But if you have any questions about the terms and conditions, please give me a call, but they are pretty straightforward, other than the ones that Pretty has mentioned at the beginning of this webinar. Yeah, and just feel free to pick up the phone and give me a call in one of my working days. Yeah, I'll be really happy to answer any of your questions. Yep. And so I think if everyone is happy to perhaps say goodbye, we can all go back and either go for dinner, make dinner. And I really appreciate all of you coming today and making this webinar interesting and working. And special thanks to Pretty for organizing this, and very, very special thanks to Paul and Marion for coming and sharing that amazing story. I was very inspired. And I'll be probably looking for your QR for your donation code next time I'll go to the depot. Thanks, everyone.